Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my everyday base routine. Before we get started, I guess I should tell you guys a little bit about my skin type. I have combination skin that usually leans more towards the oily side, but recently I've actually been kind of dry. I don't know what's going on with that, but then again, 2020 has been full of surprises, so that kind of explains that. So while you are watching this video, just keep in mind that this routine is one that I feel like I have perfected over a couple of years for my skin type and my skin tone. So just keep that in mind. There is no recipe that will work perfectly for everybody's skin, but this is the one that I have found works the best for my skin. Yeah, so that's about it for disclaimers. I guess let's go ahead and start this makeup routine. So now that I have you guys zoomed in nice and close, we can finally start this routine. If you guys do want to know all of the products that I use, as always, that will be in the description so you can check them out. I also have my eyebrows already on and I did moisturize my skin already. Today I used a moisturizer that is kind of right down the middle for me. It's great every single day, even if I am leaning oily or if I am leaning more towards the dry side. Today I used the Neutrogena Hydroboost lotion. I don't know exactly what it's called, but you've definitely seen it before, and here's a picture right up here. Also, this headband, I don't know where it's from. I just found it in my house. It doesn't do a great job of like taking my little baby hairs, so if you see my baby hairs covered in foundation, okay, mind your business. Thank you. The first thing that we're going to do is go ahead with primer. So I have two primers, and this is kind of a theme in this video. I'm going to be mixing a lot of products, but obviously you don't have to do that. That is just how I like my makeup. Do what you want. The first primer that I'm going to use is one that you have probably heard so much about. This is the Milk Hydrogrip primer. So this is what she looks like. If you don't know anything about this primer, basically it is just supposed to be like glue for your foundation. It leaves your face a little bit tacky but also very moisturized. So like I said, I do have oily skin, so I'm not going to take this on my nose, but I am going to take it pretty much everywhere else. I'm just going to take some, pump it like that. Ooh, okay. That was probably too much. Every time I film, I get too excited and I feel like I use way too much product. We'll see how this works. I'm going to take it in between my fingers. It feels nice and slippery. And I'm just going to apply it like this. This is a primer that I really do apply like a moisturizer. I don't know if you are supposed to apply it like a moisturizer, but that's how I apply it and I've never had any problems with it. You guys see how immediately my skin just looks really luminous and glowy? So pretty. Now, as this primer dries down, you won't be able to like slide your hand around it because, can you see, like, that is my skin getting nice and tacky for my foundation. Now we're just going to give that primer a second to sink into the skin. While we wait for that primer to adjust to my skin, we're going to go in with another primer. The Milk Hydrogrip was really to moisturize and obviously provide grip to my skin, but the next primer that I'm going in with is a pore filling primer. Now I know some people think that primer is a scam. I'm not one of those people. I am team primer. I love primer. And that's why I have different primers for different things. You don't have to do that, but you know, that's how I am. Before we move on to the next primer, if you want a primer that is similar to the Hydrogrip but not as expensive, NYX has a jelly primer, which I really like. I don't use it too much anymore because for me that primer is so hydrating. I can only use it in the winter, but that is a beautiful primer and the finish that it leaves on your skin is very similar to the Milk Hydrogrip. So that's just a little dupe for ya, I guess. The next primer that I'm going to use is by Tarte, and this is their Timeless Smoothing Primer. If you have been on my channel at all, you've probably seen me use this primer. It works for all skin types, all skin tones. It is just so beautiful. Like I said, this is a pore filling primer, so I'm just going to take it in the areas where my pores are larger. So for my face, that is right here in the middle of my forehead, my nose, and then just down the sides of my nose. One of the reasons why I love this primer is because it does keep your skin fairly matte, but it's not matte to the touch, if that makes sense. This one really does sink right into your skin and it just smooths out everything really nicely. So with this primer, I am doing a combination of pressing it into my skin and also rubbing it. My battery died. I swear to God, if I ever had merch, it would just say, my battery died, because I feel like I say that every single video. My battery dies literally after I film for 10 minutes. It's like, good night. So annoying. Anyways, what were we doing? Primer. Okay. You don't want to rub too much just in case it does pill up. But I mean, if you rub too much with anything, it will pill up. So I just like to pat it into my skin. I was watching a video of somebody talking about pore filling primers, and they were saying how they don't actually go into your pores. They kind of just cover them nicely and make them smooth. Either way, I don't care because it works. And I'm also going to take some on my chin just because I do have some texture here. Alright, so you can see right here, well I hope you can see, it is pilling up a little bit, and that is because I made a mistake. I already put some of the Milk Hydrogrip primer on my chin, and usually when you layer up primers in the exact same area, you can run into some problems. You can use two primers, but you have to use them in different areas of your face. Depending on the formulation of the primers, you might not have this problem, but with these two specific primers, if you layer them directly on top of each other, you will have some issues. As my dad would say, do what I say, not as I do. So now that we are all primered up, primered, I'm going to go in with some, what's it called? I'm just gonna highlight underneath my foundation. I'm going in with this bad boy. This is from Ciaté London, and this is their Dewy Stix in the shade Glow. This is basically, I don't even know how to describe what this is. It's kind of like a lip balm, but for your cheeks. It makes your cheeks look so beautiful. This one is just straight up like a clear balm, if you can see. I've seen people use this and just go like this. I'm not gonna do that. You can try. Good luck to you. I'm not doing that. I'm going to take my beauty blender and just scrape off a little from the top. Now watch this. Well, I don't know if my camera's gonna pick it up, but watch this. I just tap it right here. Ooh, 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 that's pretty. Okay. I just tap this in the same areas that I would normally apply like a metallic highlighter, and it just gives you like the look of wet skin. I love it so much. Also guys, please ignore my sideburns. I know I cut them really wonky, and I don't want to hear about it. So if there was one product in this whole video that I would say go try, it is this stick, because you can use it when you have no makeup on and it still makes your skin look so healthy and glowy. It's just beautiful. As you can tell, I have very bad dark circles, okay? I'm not gonna hide it. They're here, you can all see them. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
If I was going to color correct with a bright red color corrector, I would do it right now. But today I'm going to be going in with a concealer that is more orangey, and that is going to act as my color corrector. I just don't think it's necessary for everyday use. Really, I only use red color corrector when I have a special event to go to, like a wedding or like a big party. Who's going to those now? Other than LA influencers. But that's a whole nother story. I also think there are a lot of people on YouTube especially who use color corrector when they really don't need it, and I don't want to perpetuate the idea that color corrector is necessary for everyone, because it really isn't. Don't think that just because you see certain beauty influencers using color corrector all over their face that you need to do that too, because you don't. Now we're gonna go in with foundation. So normally on an everyday basis I would use the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. However, like I said, my skin is feeling a little more dry today, so I'm gonna mix it with my other favorite foundation, which is the NYX Born to Glow Naturally Radiant Foundation. These two separately, amazing, but these two together, even more amazing. So I'm going to mix them today. So in the NYX Born to Glow foundation, I have the shade Caramel, and this is definitely my winter shade. And in the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation, I have the shade 4W2 Toasty Toffee, and this is definitely my summer shade. And right now we are in fall, so if you mix summer and winter, you get fall. Alright, so let's shake her up real good because she is more of a liquid consistency. Ooh, y'all hear that? Alright, okay, so I'm gonna open up the NYX, take some on this brush. I'm going to take some right here, right down my nose. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my god, I have to sneeze. Never mind. I wish I was one of those girls who has like a pretty sneeze. Like, you know those girls who are like, achoo! Like, I'm not like that. I'm like, achoo! I sneeze like a grown man. On the outer portion of my face, I'm going to go in with the Estee Lauder foundation because, like I said, it is slightly darker than the NYX foundation. So I shook it up. Shake it up. And I had a lot of coffee this morning. So I don't know if you can tell from this lighting or from this angle, but this is the color of the Estee Lauder and this is the color of the NYX foundation. And my exact skin tone is somewhere in between. Just a little bit right up here. Before I blend out my foundation, I'm going to take the same brush and just blend my foundation around my eyebrows. I do this to kind of sculpt my brows. I feel like this really helps. I know some people take concealer around their eyebrows. I do take concealer underneath my eyebrows, but when I am cleaning up the top of my brows, I like to go in with something that matches my skin tone more. Now to blend out my foundation, I'm going in with the Morphe M439. This is just like my all-time favorite foundation brush. Ooh, do you guys see how nicely that just covered that area? Ooh, I think I made a mistake by talking too much, and I think my foundation dried down a little too much before I was ready, but do not fear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my setting spray. Now this one is from Too Faced. This is their Hangover 3-in-1 replenishing spray. I'm going to shake it up and I'm going to spray a little bit on my brush from like a distance, like so. I have a little bit of that on my brush, and now I'm going to go back in and blend my foundation. This is just a nice trick that will give your foundation some slide if you feel like it maybe dried down too much before you were done blending. Now I'm just going to take a dry beauty blender and just really press that foundation into my skin. So now that we have a basic layer of coverage on, you can still see that obviously not everything is covered. You can still see my hyperpigmentation around my mouth. If you are wondering, I feel like I used to have a lot of trouble knowing if I had hyperpigmentation or not. And how you can tell is if you put foundation on the area, which I did, you guys saw me do that, and you can see how I have a little bit of a gray cast. That means that the foundation either doesn't have enough coverage to cover my hyperpigmentation, or my hyperpigmentation is just too strong of a color that the foundation just lost the battle there. And that's how you can tell if you have hyperpigmentation. Everything is nice and smooth. I'm going to apologize if I change skin colors. It's kind of cloudy, so the sun is like, I'm here and then I'm not, and then I'm here and then I'm not. So sorry. Now we are going to go in with concealer. This is the concealer that I was talking about when I said I like to use concealer to color correct instead of bright red color corrector. This one is by Too Faced. This is the Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. I have the shade Warm Sand. This also works as a great foundation if you have combination / normal skin. It will work really well. I'm going to take some here and right here. Same thing on the other side. Whatever is left on the applicator, I'm going to apply around my mouth. Boom. So I hope this is showing up on camera. Maybe it's not, but this is the most orange concealer I think I could find. If you guys know any other good orange concealers, let me know because I'm almost running out of this and I don't mind trying something new. I'm gonna give this a minute to sink into my skin because this is more of a natural finish product. If you let it dry down a little bit before blending, you can really maximize the coverage. Another reason why I like to use 2 concealers instead of just one is because I use one to get the initial coverage, which is what I'm doing right now, and then I use the other one to actually highlight the area and make it look lifted. You'll see what I mean. Before I blend out the concealer, I'm going to take the same brush that I used for foundation and I'm going to just trace, oh my god, can my hair like relax? What is this? I'm going to trace where my eyeshadow kind of stops. So just like this. And when you do this, it really lifts your eye like upwards. Well, obviously you can't lift downwards, but you know what I mean. This is just a really nice trick. And I especially like to do this when I am wearing darker eyeshadow because if you're not careful with dark eyeshadow, it can really make your eyes look droopy and like sad. Hey, nothing wrong with being sad, but sometimes you don't want to look like you're sad. Boom. Okay, now that we have that outline set up, we can actually go in and blend the concealer. I'm actually going to blend around my mouth first because I do want more coverage under my eyes. So I'm going to let the concealer under my eyes harden a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I want really concentrated coverage, I'm not going to blend like this, like I would with a foundation. I'm just going to press in the same spot. Also, if you're like me and you're kind of hairy and your stash grows really fast, color correcting around it is a really nice way to kind of hide it. And around my mouth, I'm going in with my foundation brush. My grandma is on the phone right now, so I'm sorry if you hear her talking in the background. Now returning to the same small brush, I'm going to blend out under my eyes. I'm not going to focus on making it look really smooth and nice. I'm just going to focus on getting an even level of coverage. When you go in with a brush first, that's when you will get the most coverage. But then when you use your sponge to just smooth it out, it's like flawless both ways. So you get the coverage that you want from the brush, but then you also get the smoothness from the sponge. And I'm going to go around my mouth as well, just to make sure everything is nice and smooth. Boom. Now, if you want, you could leave your under eyes just like this. Sometimes I do, but I feel like today I just want to be like glam, like, you know, like wham bam, thank you ma'am. Ooh, I got bars. So I am going to go in with a bit of a lighter concealer. I'm going in with the Tarte Shape Tape, like I said. This is the shade Tan Sand. When you are doing this, you want to go a little bit at a time. You don't want to just immediately load up tons and tons of product. And I'm also going to take some in the middle of my forehead and a little bit right there. Okay, cute. In between my eyebrows is where I also get really oily, and putting Tarte Shape Tape, which is a more matte concealer, right under there really helps prevent that oil from breaking through. I'm going to again let this sit a little bit under my eyes. While I do that, I am going to get my powder prepared. Powder prepared, powder prepared, powder prepared. Tongue twister. I do have a couple of under eye powders that I really like. The Colourpop Banana Powder is a great one that is affordable. Maybelline has a loose setting powder that is also really affordable, really great. Beauty Bakery, their flower powder, also amazing for under the eyes. Right now what I have been using is the Milk Makeup setting powder. What is this called? Oh, I'm dumb. The Milk Makeup Blur and Set Matte Loose Setting Powder. This is what this bad boy looks like. I have the shade Translucent Medium. It's basically the color of a banana powder, but it's just not as yellow as a banana powder. It's more of a beige. As always, take a tissue right under my neck. So I'm going to open up. Ooh. Good morning. And I'm gonna try and show you guys the color of this powder without dumping it everywhere. Can you guys see? I'm going to take some on my brush, tap off the excess, and just keep that brush handy. Now I feel like we can go in and blend the concealer, so I'm taking my beauty blender and just patting. It's so hard for me when I do concealer to not be like, oh. I feel like it's like a natural reflex, like you want to open your mouth, but I'm trying not to do that. I feel like especially how I have darker eyeshadow right now, that is when I want more coverage under my eyes, or else you can kind of look, I don't know, like I said, really droopy and even like you have a black eye. Also, not to like spoil anything, but I did order a couple of things from Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez. I am so excited. My package is not here yet. As soon as it comes, I will film a video and I will try and edit it and upload as fast as I can. But I just want to get an initial scope of if you guys would be interested in that. I did make a poll on my Instagram. If you don't follow my Instagram, this is the name. I do post, not a lot, but I do post some things that you're not going to see on my channel, so definitely give me a follow if you want to. Point of that was I did a poll on my Instagram and you guys said that you would be interested, so I made a little order. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you would be interested. Now we're going to go ahead and set my concealer. So like I said, I have the powder on my brush. I'm going to pat out any lines that may have formed. When I set my under eyes, it reminds me of, you know, when you're shopping and you're paying with like a debit or credit card and you have like 5 seconds where you put it in, but then as soon as you put it in, it's like, take it out, what are you doing, take out your card, right? For me, that's how I feel like when I set my under eyes. It's like, Okay, get your powder. Okay, okay, set it right now. Set it right now. I don't know what's going on today. Now I'm just getting set to set the other side. So again, I'm gonna do one final blend, and now we're gonna set. And with whatever's left on my brush, I'm going on my forehead. I guess I do bake my face, but I don't bake underneath my eyes. I find when I bake underneath my eyes, it just looks really crusty, dusty, rusty, musty, and I don't like it. But I do bake on the sides of my nose because I get really oily, and honestly baking does help, but it's gonna look different depending on the foundation that you have and the powder that you use to bake, how long you leave it to bake, all of that stuff. So just be mindful of that. This powder is really great for baking because it's not super matte and it doesn't like suck the life out of your skin. So take my beauty blender, dip into this powder, and just press it into the sides of my nose. I just realized how crazy I look right now. Like, hello. While I leave that to sit on my face, I'm gonna go in with a powder that is closer to my skin tone because obviously this one is not. This is the Sephora Microsmooth Baked Face Compact. I have the shade Tan. So, can I open it? Oh, this is what the powder looks like. You can see it's not an exact match to my skin tone, but it's close enough. So I'm gonna take some of that on my powder brush. Boom, boom, boom. Wow, that's a lot of powder flying up all over the place. This brush is shedding and sometimes the bristles do come off on my face. Not a big deal, but it is kind of annoying. I take this on my cheeks to kind of provide a slight base for when I do my bronzer and blush. Because if you've ever tried putting powder, blush, powder, bronzer on like wet foundation, it doesn't really work out. It kind of disrupts the whole look. Do you see these bristles just like coming off? Wow. Of course, the day that I want to film my routine, everything is going to go badly, but you know, what can you do? I know that I'm looking very white about now. Bad pun, sorry. But don't worry, once we put bronzer and blush, everything is going to even out really nicely. For bronzer, I'm going in with this palette from Morphe. This is their 8H Hi-Fi Highlight and Contour Palette. This is what the inside looks like. She's very pretty, also very dirty. You guys know I also really love the Fenty Beauty bronzer, but because my highlight shade is also in this palette, I figured it's easier to just use one palette. For my bronzer, I'm going to start off with the shade Donut. This is the lightest bronzer shade in this palette. So I'm going to bronze my cheeks. This shade isn't too red, as I feel like some bronzers that are made for my skin tone can be, so I really like this one. Now, when you're applying bronzer, you always want the most product to be closer to your ears. So when you apply bronzer, you don't want to have your brush and go straight in right here. When you apply it, you want to start off over here and then make your way inwards. You don't want to just start off inwards. It just looks weird if here is really dark and then it gets lighter. I'm going to take a little bit on my forehead. I don't really do this to sculpt my forehead. I just do it so that my skin kind of has the same color all around. And I used to not do this, and then I would realize it looks kind of weird when you only have color on your cheeks. I feel like I always neglect my forehead and my jawline, but it's important. It's important too. Alright, so that is it for bronzer. Now we're gonna go in with some blush. Blush, blush, blush. You are now my big fat crush. For blush, I have another palette from Morphe. Why is it so dirty? This is their 8W Warm Master Blush palette. This just has some of the prettiest colors inside. Like, oh my god, look at this palette. So I'm going to take the shade Unapologetic and mix it with the shade Goals. For blush, it's kind of the same thing with bronzer. I apply most of it actually towards the back of my face. And then with whatever excess is left on my brush, that's what gets brought forward in towards my nose. Always kind of brush it upwards. That was a lot. I don't normally put that much on. I don't know what just happened. Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with wearing a lot of blush, okay? But if you do go overboard, I will show you what I do to fix that. So to clean up my blush, I'm going to go back in with the powder that I used to set my face, which was the Milk Setting Powder. This also works if you go too crazy with bronzer and contour. I'm going to take some on my sponge and I'm going to try and grab actually a lot, and we are just going to cut the face with powder, not, yeah, okay. Just keep in mind when you are doing this, it does make your bronzer and blush look less natural because obviously you are just cutting it off. I don't mind how it looks when it looks like it is makeup, but if you do want your bronzer and blush to look like it is natural and coming from your skin, don't do this. So I'm gonna leave that to sit. In the meantime, I'm going to go off camera and add some eyeshadow under here because normally that's what I do when this is sitting on my face, and we will be back to apply some highlighter and setting spray. Now that I have some color under my eyes, we are going to brush off the bake. The key to doing this is I'm not going to go in directly and just brush it off. I'm going to take some of my powder that was my skin tone. So this was the Sephora Microsmooth powder. I'm going to take some on the brush and use this brush to brush off the bake. And you'll just see how everything blends together when you do it this way. I obviously did still use a lot of blush, but that's okay. Sometimes you want to look like you have a secret, you know? And if I ever feel like the center of my face is looking a little too bright, I'll take the same powder and just dust it over the center of my face. Again, this is where I'm going to remind you that I have combination oily skin. If your skin is extremely dry, do not use this much powder. So now we're going to go in with highlighter, which is my favorite part of my base routine. So my highlighter is in the same palette that we just used for bronzer, and I'm going to be using the shade Mirage. This is my everyday highlighter color. It works with any eye look, any blush color. It just works with everything. First, I'm going to take some on a tiny baby brush and go in my inner corners. So when I apply highlighter, I always go in at an angle. I don't apply my brush straight on. I always angle it a little bit. And I'm going to go in this C shape. Now, if you have a lot of texture on your cheeks, you don't need to use a metallic highlighter. You could just use the Dewy Stix that I used at the beginning of this video. I just really like how powdered highlighter looks. So I zoomed you guys out for setting spray, and I have two setting sprays that I really love. The first one is by L'Oreal, and this is their Infallible Pro Spray and Set Makeup Extender. So this is my favorite affordable setting spray, and my favorite higher end setting spray is the Too Faced Hangover 3-in-1 Replenishing Spray. I use this one earlier in the video. This one is very similar to the Urban Decay setting spray, which is pretty like hardcore, and then this one obviously is for more of a dewy natural look. On an everyday basis, I will mix the two, and so that's what I'm going to do right now. Does anyone else get like shivers after you apply setting spray, or is that just me? I feel like this just really helps melt your powder down and makes your skin look like skin, even though you have 5 layers of foundation on. Ooh, zooey mama. Alright. So I'm just going to give this a second to sink into my skin. Wow, I look like I just went to a water park. I want to get like, you know how some beauty gurus have like little handheld fans, and they're just like, ooh, I'm bougie, I'm rich. I want one of those. I'm gonna take my sponge and lightly press. Now the key in this step is not to press too hard because you risk disrupting your foundation, but you want to press firm enough that you actually feel the sponge hitting your skin. Do you like how my lips just totally disappeared? Like, I had lips at the start of this video, but now after my foundation, they're just like gone, nowhere to be seen. Alright, so that is pretty much it for my base makeup. I feel like we're looking pretty good actually. I'm going to go off camera, apply mascara and lipstick, fix up my hair, and show you guys what the final look looks like. So I'll be right back. Alright you guys, so I am back and this is the finished look. What do you guys think? Honestly, this is my go-to base routine. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this is the base routine that I know I can always rely on. It never like breaks up on me. It just never lets me down, you know?
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
As you can see, everything looks pretty nice and smooth. Obviously, skin has texture. I know there are some beauty gurus on here who use filters with their videos, or who have like, I don't know, fillers in their face. The average person doesn't have that. I obviously don't have that. So it is normal to see some texture in your skin. However, this is the routine that I have found gives me the least amount of texture. It makes my skin look the most smooth and even, and I don't want to say flawless because I don't think I'm flawless, but it's pretty flawless. Let me just say. Also, if you guys want to know what else I'm wearing on my face, so like my eyeshadow, my lip combo, my mascara, everything as always will be linked in the description, so you can check out any products that you are interested in. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!